I'm sure you're eagerly waiting after episode 2 to know if Vandiyadevan catch a glimpse of the women in the palanquin carried behind Pazhavittarayar's troops. Let's swiftly get into the story, shall we? Vandiyadevan's eyes curiously darted to see the face belonging to the fair-skinned hand that lifted the veil. We would assume that Vandiyadevan must be absolutely enchanted to see such glorious beauty. But he was only perplexed by the shock on the woman's face while she looked in his direction. The woman shrieked and immediately closed her drapes to retreat behind the safety of her veil. For a minute, he wondered if she recognizes him from somewhere, but he ruled out that never in their lives their paths had ever crossed. He was only glad that no one noticed the strange exchange between them, and he searched around him to find what caused such a drastic reaction in the woman. Behind him, in the same line of sight, leaning against a tree, was Alvarkadiyan Nambi. He wasn't baffled at all by the lady's response. His eyes were calmly following the palanquin. Vandiyadevan was quite clueless as to what ties could a royal lady have with a street brawler. As Pazhavittarayar's troops were leaving, the last of them, who were confident that they are far from their commander's scrutiny, were taunting and teasing the bystanders, laughing sillily at them. As they came near Vandiyadevan's horse, tied to a tree next to the temple, they threw insults at it and tugged on its tail. This spooked the horse into running directly into the crowd, smashing and thrashing the street vendors produce and clearly causing a commotion. Vandiyadevan ran after his horse in an attempt to stop it, but he only caught up after the horse found a quiet spot under a tree and away from the crowd. This really infuriated Vandiyadevan, and he wanted to get back at the half-wits who clearly lacked the discipline of a soldier. But again, he remembered his warnings from his prince and friend Aditya Karikalar and decided not to get involved further. He took a deep breath and chose to proceed with his journey. As he turned his horse back, Alvarkadiyan Nambi approached Vandiyadevan and asked, why he left those soldiers alone while he seemed to love being in the middle of a tussle. This Vandiyadevan chose to ignore and walked his horse slowly as Alvarkadiyan Nambi kept following him. Vandiyadevan paused to ask why he is following him, to which Nambi answered that he is heading in the same direction. For a few minutes, they walked in silence. After a few minutes, Alvarkadiyan Nambi inquired if Vandiyadevan is heading to Kadambur Sambhavarayar Palace. This made Vandiyadevan stop in his tracks. How does he know? Wondered Vandiyadevan, and asked the same to his troublemaking companion. For this, Nambi replied, it was just a simple guess. Many of the great men of the Chola dynasty are all gathering for tonight's event, isn't it? After the royal dinner, they have arranged several cultural events, and the main event is Kuravai. What I wouldn't give to be there to see that show. Even Pazhavittarayar is headed there, so I thought you might be too. Although, isn't it an invitation-only event? Kuravai is an ancient form of storytelling through dance and song. As Vandiyadevan pondered over this new piece of information, Nambi doesn't seem to leave him alone. He further inquired if Vandiyadevan had an invite too, for which he replied, I kind of do. It is a long-standing invite from my friend, Sambhavarayar's son, who served with me in the army. Nambi wasn't convinced that this invitation will work for Vandiyadevan this time, considering tonight's significance. But he still asked if Vandiyadevan can take him to the palace as his guest. And to this, Vandiyadevan hesitantly refused. Either way, Nambi still pursued him on their way back to the temple. He clearly wanted something from Vandiyadevan. As they entered the Vinnagaram temple, Nambi started singing Andal Pasuram and Nammalvar Pasuram in a divine melody. They are devotional hymns written by Andal and Nammalvar in praise of Lord Vishnu. His delightful music filled the temple, echoed in everyone's hearts, and brought tears to his listeners' eyes. Vandiyadevan felt truly sorry that he mistook such a devotional person for a common bikara. He apologized to Nambi for assuming the worst of him. Nambi used this as an opportunity to ask a favor from Vandiyadevan, and Vandiyadevan promised that he would try. Nambi immediately took a piece of paper from the folds of his dress and handed it to Vandiyadevan. "Will you give this to the woman in the palanquin if you are admitted in the palace tonight?" asked Nambi. This enraged Vandiyadevan. "I will never approach a woman with such dishonorable motives, especially when she belongs to someone else. If it was anyone else, my sword would have answered them. Your devotion for your lord saved you today," swore Vandiyadevan fiercely and sped past Nambi with his horse. And that's the end of episode 3. Did Vandiyadevan gain entry into the palace? Did he find out who the woman in the palanquin was? What was the suspicious message that Nambi tried to pass on to the woman? Let's wait and watch in the next episodes. Do like, share and subscribe to our channel. This is Kadhatellaporom and we'll see you next week. Bye.